I'm Donna, and this is Nancy, and this is another deep dive. This time we have several artists for our Juneteenth exhibit, and we would like to start with this one first because this is very different from what we're used to.
This is very different than what we're used to. Some artists want to paint things that are beautiful and calming and relaxing. Other artists want to use their art to make a statement, like Picasso's Guernica, or the painting of the 4th of May when they're assassinating Mexicans on a line, on a what do you call it, a line where they're being shot. Those paintings were done as painted as artistic responses to political events. And so Donald Early, who's from West Virginia and is a painter since he was a child, has done some pieces that are his response to things that are happening in the world today. And some of them are pleasant and some of them are not. But his painting, TV screen with subtitles, is like watching 2 or 3 channels of news at the same time, and all these images.
That's a good way of putting it. Yeah, that's a good way of putting it.
You know, and how do you categorize them and how do you get them down? What do you do with the image of the little boy in the blue hat? What do you do with the news of shootings? What do you do with, Ice Cream America carts that are being canceled because for some reason they're a problem in terms of drawing large crowds of people?
And then you go to the happy commercial of Tukey and Sam, and it's just constant images coming at you. And
they're all sort of bombarding you with things.
Right, but there's a lot to see here. And this is one you just don't glance at and move on to the next one. This one you really want to look at. And there's several like that in this exhibit where you just need to take your time, and the more you look, the more you see.
They're like nibbling away at a cracker to understand exactly what that cracker tastes like. You get little bits of it, and then you need to take a rest, and then you get another little bit. And so his 5 paintings are all in that genre. And then we have artists who work in entirely different ways. So this painting is by Clinton Helms, who's from Goochland. Clinton started out as a young man wanting to be an illustrator. And he's of an age that Norman Rockwell in the Saturday Evening Post was one of the highest echelons of illustrators' art.
Rock star.
And one of his most famous paintings, one of his Grammy winners, as it were, was a triple self-portrait. And so here we have a parody, not a parody of it because he's done it very honestly. He's not making fun of it. But here's Clinton as an adult. Clinton is the young artist working from a picture of himself even younger. And in the other corner, way up there on the left, is Norman Rockwell overseeing everything with his pipe. And so if you go somewhere online or to a library and look up Norman Rockwell's painting, the triple self-portrait, you will see an entirely different version of this with a different illustrator. And I think he's done just a marvelous job of capturing that. And he's mounted that image against this gold background. And there are some shadows here that he tells me were pictures from his former life, just little thumbnail sketches that are underneath all that gold layer.
Okay, I see it now.
And he does that a lot. He plays with, do I see it, do I not see it?
This is also by Clinton Helms. It's called Allegory of the Black Experience, Black Lives Matter. And again, this is one that the more you look, the more you see.
And so he has a kneeling figure who's broken free from the chains, and the chains are tactile, they're real, they're actual, they're there. They're little wire chains that he's broken from. But behind him and above him are all these antecedents from Harriet Tubman and slavery days and the flags that were put up at the time of some of the recent protests.
And Say My Name, Breonna Taylor, and during COVID and George Floyd, you can see that. And again, the more you step away and step into, the more you can see that this is an allegory.
Now, as a counterpoint to Clinton, his wife Ella, who's been a teacher of art and a teacher of young men and women in and out of trouble in schools, had a wildly different experience in her life, has gone back to painting recently, and she's working on these beautiful florals that are just so calm and so peaceful that it's a place to sit and rest and contemplate art as the search for beauty, which is very different from what we've seen so far.
And I usually don't use the word lush,
Oh.
but I use, this is luscious. Just, you want to reach out and touch it, but it's full and it's healthy and vibrant.
Yeah. Donna, you particularly liked this one by Sarah
Williams.
Williams. Thank you. Hello. Sarah Williams from up in Bath County, and it's called Aged Velvet, and she loves painting animals, particularly African animals.
And, you know, if somebody said, okay, we're going to paint a lion, and it's going to have pinks and purples and blues in it, I would, wow, those colors, but it works. And I love how she's wrapped that painting around on the side. So the lion's mane just cascades behind. And if there is, you know, I've always loved cats. I've always loved big animals, lions, but he's beautiful and he is truly majestic. And Aged Velvet, I think, is a great name for this piece.
Perlista Henry is a Bath County artist. She's been an artist for a long time. She's done a lot of other things, but most recently, she has been documenting Black churches in Bath County, some of which are crumbling into disrepair. And so she has loaned us 5 exquisite watercolors of churches in Bath County. She says she's been to every one of them at some time or another for a service, or grown up in one and now belongs to another. And so she's documenting this history, which I think is such an important thing to do anyway, but to do it with these beautiful watercolors, I can almost hear the choir sing.
They are truly, you know, I'm speechless. These are gorgeous in itself, but to put them together like this and know that that's history, and sad to say that it's crumbling.
Right. But I will say, on a hopeful note, as one of the churches was being dismantled, the church members somebody bought the bell and used that money to refurbish one of the other churches. So sometimes you can pay it back and the circle will come around. Good. One of the other things that's different in this exhibit is that we have a work by Armilda Hayes, a quilter from here in Clifton Forge. And a couple of years ago, Armilda was involved with some of the other quilters in the area, and they worked on Underground Railroad quilts. The story goes that quilts would be hung on fences to help guide runaway slaves through the Underground Railroad to safety in Canada or northern United States. Now, whether or not that's true, we don't have any accurate account, or at least I don't. But Armilda did this beautiful quilt, and each of the squares has a message. Stay here, take this boat, go toward the northern lights. And so she's loaned us the quilt, and there's this legend or a story of the quilt on the side. So you can pick out which quilt square is your favorite.
This wall has work by Guy Wood, who is a run-up artist. Guy was the first artist to show in the gallery after the pandemic in 2021. And this painting, when Buddy Carter walked in the gallery, said it gave him such a sense of joy and release and pleasure that dark times are gone. We can sing, be joyful, and have happiness and color again. And so it's called Sailing Along. And if you look carefully, you'll find the boats. But it is truly one of the brightest paintings I've ever seen, and yet because of the way he's worked with grading and color and knowing what colors work with each other, it's just such a happy painting. Happy is a good word for this.
So the book Sounder was published in 1969, and it won the 1970 Newbery Medal for the best children's book in the United States. And that book was written by William Howard Armstrong, who was from Rockbridge County, just one county over. And he heard a story from Charles Addison Vaughan Jones, who lived right near his farm. Charlie was a black teacher in the area, and he would stop by the Armstrong's house every evening, and they would tell stories, have a little bit of something to eat around the table. And he told this story of Sounder. That's what he called the dog, because he had a bellowing bark. He was a coon dog. And so this story was gifted by Charlie to Mr. Armstrong, who wrote the story, and it was published, as I said, in 1969. That was 19 years after Charlie passed away.
Wow.
So definitely he kept it alive, because that book has been published in many languages. It came out as a 1972 movie that had 4 Oscar nominations, and then came to be produced again in 2003 by the person who had grown up to become a director, but as a young man, he played the son in this first Sounder movie. So this is probably a story that many people have at least heard about. And when they think about it, they think, oh, it's that story about a dog.
Right. Well, let's go look at the picture.
Let's do it.
How many illustrations are in the book, Susan?
There are 10, but you have to make sure that you get the one with this on the cover, because that's the first illustration. And that is not in all of the versions of Sounder.
Okay.
So there are 10, and many of them feature the dog Sounder. This one is one that is very painterly. It's that beautiful watercolor feel to it. And so that gives us a little solo picture of Sounder right there. Now, let me tell you something. We haven't talked about the artist yet. These are by James Barkley,
Okay.
who is a worldwide known artist who was picked by the publisher to work with Mr. Armstrong to illustrate the whole sense of the story of Sounder. So you will have some of the dog, but that's really, really not the only part of the story. It is about a sharecropping family who had great economic difficulty, and the father ended up in a prison camp, and it's a journey story. Much like the Argus story was that Charlie, the teacher, had told Mr. Armstrong, here comes this journey story of the young man, the son, trying to find his father. And eventually his father does come home. So you learn about that. But Sounder is one of those books that can be pretty sad in some places, but it gives you great hope of what the future can hold for a young man who is interested in reading, interested in education.
And I remember, I had seen the movie, probably had read the book, but when you came to me with this, I read it all over again at least 3 times so far. And I had forgotten about how much of it was about his search, not only for his father, but for a way to get an education. So I think the book has lots of storylines and lots of interesting things going on for anybody. For sure. And there are beautiful scenes of the Virginia landscape, or of animals that might have been seen. So there's that kind of flora and fauna. And one of my favorites, I have two favorites, and they're both buildings. One of them is a cabin, an illustration of what the cabin might have been like in the artist James Barkley's imagination. And I found myself over years drawing cabins, and I couldn't figure out why. And sure enough, when I came back to the book, I thought, I know. This stayed with me all my life. And so, and the other one you said that really stayed
is the jail. So this is part of it too. This jail is representative, according to the artist, of a southern jail. Okay, but if you are ever in Lexington, Virginia, which is where Mr. Armstrong would have come on his town days, if you walk by the jail, even still, you can see that this jail is just like the one there. And I always thought maybe it was the jail in our town. I asked the artist, Mr. Barkley, about it, and he said, no, I've never been to Lexington, but just take this book and take these paintings and find where you fit and relate to them, because that is what this book is all about. It changed my life when my teacher read it to me in the 4th grade, and I'm still working with it.
And what was your teacher's name? Do you remember?
Yes, oh, absolutely, Ms. Christine Warren. And she, that was a pretty big deal. That was, in 1970. It had just come out, and she was an African-American teacher like Charlie had been, and she read this to her classroom, and I'm sure it could have been a little bit controversial at that time frame, but you know what? It was one that stuck with all of us, and it became a very famous book. And you now get to see all the paintings. These 10 paintings were acquired because we had a dream of bringing Sounder back to this part of Virginia and making it a very special piece of who we are in this region. And so we're very lucky to have had an art collector who was willing to make sure we got these paintings to share far and wide.
Well, I'm so glad.
So I walked in the gallery by the Sounder paintings, and I entered and looked at everything around me. The first thing that probably struck me were these beautiful watercolor churches. Then I looked around and I saw something for everyone. I saw the brightest colors, and I cannot wait to learn about this artist. I saw paintings that were inspired by Norman Rockwell, maybe by Georgia O'Keeffe. I looked across, I saw animals of all sorts. I saw portraits of people. There is definitely, it draws you in. It makes you want to learn more about why these are good representations of this very important holiday, Juneteenth. So I hope you'll come see them, learn about the artists, and find your favorite ones.